something more when somebody got it more, and it's poor that can't even feed their mouth, surrounded by greedy amounts of dirty hands, not washing faces, putting them in their mouths. That's tasteless. We're trapped in the belly of the, you know what I'm saying. Numbers for your existence leave you faceless. Yet I'm supposed to be.
I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you've thrown our budget a little out of whack. Because
Executive Order 13603. Obama authorizes slave labor on a large scale on American soil. Say what? President Obama signed his own executive order, which allowed for the president to enact slave labor on a large scale on American soil. For the Americans who have been targeted for FEMA camp detention. FEMA camp detention?
I've been going back and forth, texting with the Potter's Clay YouTube channel. And one of the main things that's happened since Hurricane Harvey, channels like aplaintruth.com or a plain...
I got canceled, folks. My video was removed, inappropriate content, and my title was False Flag Las Vegas Faux Massacre. Show me the bodies.
The shooting in Vegas underneath the ginormous pyramid, the all-seeing eye. This may be a distraction to get people looking away from all the people that find themselves homeless and in FEMA's custody right now. Because as conspiratorial as it seems, a lot of people disappeared during Katrina. A lot of people ended up dead during Katrina, and people actually got indicted for it. And then it all just quietly went away.
I had a mother to call me because her son had a very gruesome task. Her son's charge by the Department of Defense was to process 5,000 bodies that had received a single bullet wound to the head. And these were mostly males. And her son was afraid to talk because he had signed a silence agreement. So he only complained to his mother. But the data about these individuals was entered into a Pentagon computer. And then reportedly, the bodies were dumped in a swamp in Louisiana. This is as a result of the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. Now, I have and I have verification from insiders who wish to remain anonymous at the Red Cross that this is true. I suspect that these were prisoners, and so you know this. This investigation of the whole prison industrial complex is extremely important, and it should not end with just a question of the nature of prisons in our country, but these 5,000 souls also need some justice too.
There were just flood victims were not there during the second flooding. They had not been collected, they were being washed out to sea. Those bodies are not being recorded in the body counts that are happening down there. And now that FEMA and National Guard took over and suspended...
When are people going to wake up? When? When?
And to learn that this wonderful fund that the sheriff had set up is over $1 million, you can just feel the heartbeat of the people.
How in the world? This just happened yesterday here. They have over $1 million already in this fund. And let me go further back. The first story to report this was the New York Post. The Telegraph from the UK. How's that possible? How is it possible that Wikipedia has updated this 2 seconds after it happened, or a couple hours, and had the numbers right? How is that possible? How did they have it? I mean, I know how they had it. You know how they had it.
Find out what's really going on. Bam, the biggest shooting in United States history. You know what I'm saying? This whole entire thing could be an enormous distraction. I would have thought maybe this was somehow a real shooting, until, of course, it all happened directly at the base of a pyramid, the Luxor. It's right there in the background. There is no way in the world that is simply, purely coincidence or happenstance. Do you see what I'm saying? Lots of people were putting out videos calling the Red Cross out for what it is. It's just the elites profiting off the destruction that they helped create.
Most will voluntarily self-incarcerate in order to avoid starvation for both them and their families. The following excerpts from Executive Order 13603 will be enacted. Third World Population Control. Using food as one of the primary weapons. I keep telling you.
In Iraq than patrolling America. He'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
Let me shoot in America.
Yeah.
Catastrophe.
We're devastated.
We haven't eaten in 3 days.
What turns Katrina into one of the deadliest hurricanes of modern times?
No water, no food.
We don't have a home.
We lost everything.
Why does it take so long to respond to the cries for help? Who makes the decisions and why?
People got to do something. You ain't got no more food. We got babies out here. We got handicapped people.
On the floor. She's dying right now. 2 people died already.
Where's people? Where's the mail?
Please, somebody.
We need some help out here.
Get out of here. We want to get out of here.
I don't even know if my kids are alive, man.
The facts behind the storm shed new light as we go inside Hurricane Katrina.
In Iraq than patrolling America. He'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
Let me shoot in America.
Yeah.
Beside a highway in Utuado, this is the most dependable utility in rural Puerto Rico these days. A pipe tapped into a mountain spring is now the watering hole for a community of over 30,000.
A lot of these roads are still covered by debris. And that's to speak nothing of the more rural areas outside of the capital. And government officials say there are still areas that they have not been able to contact to see how those folks are doing. And
No water, no food, she tells me. It's nobody's fault. It's the weather. You have to go on.
But here's the problem. The truck drivers can't get to the terminal to get their containers out. Each one of these has medicine and food, construction supplies, building equipment. They say the problem is not that there's no fuel. There's fuel. There's plenty to fuel recovery on the island. The problem is distribution. They've got security issues. They've got federal agents guarding the fuel distribution centers. They've got a requirement that there are 2 armed law enforcement officers accompanying every truck that goes out.
Formerly lush vegetation ripped away, twisted with remains of homes and power lines, a 4-lane road torn up like wet cardboard, and people crowding around potential sources of water and cell phone reception.
Testing on them.
The code word is useless either. So when you hear that, you don't think they're talking about professors, college presidents, police chiefs, the military. That gives you a think that you're talking about poor. It's useless.
Around Mexico City, the quake itself centered about 75 miles southeast of Mexico City. There are active searches going on right now for those who've been trapped. There is a rising death toll. We'll just leave it to say right now in the dozens of reported dead, but that toll expected to climb. We want to go to Miguel.
Today's quake comes on the 32-year anniversary of a massive earthquake in Mexico City that killed some 10,000 people. As a matter of fact, many folks were drilling or having drilled.
Mexico City that's on volcanic rock, and generally we don't feel earthquakes in this part of the city. This one we felt, and we felt it tremendously. For the first time in my 30 years in Mexico, during an earthquake, there were things falling off of shelves, actually.
Flooding is going to continue. Weather war terrorism is one of their games they're playing to flush people out, flush the toilet, as Ozark Matt said. And it's not going to change until we start getting more aware, becoming more outspoken, and demand that this be stopped. And help your neighbors, help your friends, help those in need. This is me driving through the neighborhood in West Houston, block after block, suburb after suburb, completely destroyed. It's a month, 5 weeks later, people are still out of their homes. It's humid.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware of all that's going on. There's over 1 million acres burning in the West and the Pacific Northwest.
More than 100 fires are burning uncontained across the West. The governor of Washington calls it an unprecedented cataclysm.
Good evening. We are right here near Beacon Rock State Park, and what a sight this is behind us. In the hours we've been out here covering this fire, it is no doubt growing. Take a look. Those winds you mentioned really picking up tonight, pushing this to the west where we're seeing those new evacuation orders. And it really is even just hard to find the words to describe this. A true hell on earth, almost apocalyptic.
It is so crazy that we are trapped on this planet with people that are doing what they're doing. That's bad enough. But the worst part is 9.5 out of 10 people don't even care to look into this. How much can you possibly care about your children, your grandchildren, your loved ones, so forth, so on, and blah, 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 if you won't even look into the fact that everything that they've ever told us is basically a lie. And the evidence, the proof, is easy to find, but people just don't want to bother.
Those people up there, the rich and the powerful, they do whatever they want. Guys like us, you and me, they don't care about us. We build their roads and we fight all their wars and everything. They don't care about us. We have to pick up after them. We have to eat their table scraps. That's how it is. I know you know what I'm talking about, Peter.
Here, I just want you to understand where I'm coming from, you heard? That's it, man. Just vibe with me. Yo, I'm not lying when I tell you I ain't frontin'. I ain't got no other way to show you that I'm never running. But they coming for our kids while you talking, doing nothing. I extend my mind.